trabaho eh. Ganyan mo pagbanto ng masaya.
Banter.
Magkakasama pa rin po tayo sa Tayan Mo at Panindigan at pinag-uusapan pa rin natin ang mga future ng mga ating 2011 graduates as against the opportunity available to them. And direct, para tulungan tayo.
Oo, yan. Para tulungan tayo at ipaliwanag ang mga masalimuot na mundong papasukan ng mga fresh graduates of 2011, we have invited the Director of the Bureau of Local Employment ng Department of Labor and Employment, Employment, okay. DOLE, okay. Si Miss Criselda C. But we shall just call her Cris. Cris C? I just C.
Welcome. Okay, ako muna magtatanong, tawag dito. Marami palang trabaho, according to sa yung bisita po natin kanina si
From
Jayjay.
JOBSDB, yeah.
Pero nagre-reflect po talaga ba yun yung realities?
Well, depende kasi kung anong perspective yung titignan mo. If we are to look into the unemployment rate in the country, it's now 7.4%.
Is that bad po, yung 7.4?
Basically, it tells you that you are not fully employed. There are a lot of people available for jobs, looking for jobs, and they are about 2.8 million at this time. But of course, ang sinasabi kasi natin, yung 5% unemployment rate is actually full employment. Because you have to give, bakit kaya 5%? Kasi yung 1 to 5%, you have to give way for the job search of the people, movement of the people in the market. So yun yung tinatawag na frictional.
You're getting a certain frame of time.
Yes. So, but tama rin, on the one hand, tama yung sinasabi niya na there are actually a lot of jobs looking for the right people.
So what is, in comparison, last year, what is yung percentage ng unemployment rate natin as against ngayong 7.5?
Nag-improve ba tayo, Cris?
Actually, walang pagbabago eh. Kasi for the last 5 years, nagho-hover tayo sa 7 to 7.5%.
So naging constant?
Depende sa ano yan, sa unang-una kasi ang unang nakaka-apekto sa atin. Pag naapektuhan yung agriculture sector, yun talagang kahit na maganda yung performance ng manufacturing and service.
Dahil we are still basically an agricultural nation.
At saka prone to calamities tayo.
Cris, may katanungan ako. Kunyari may isang fresh graduate na lalabas dyan at magkahanap ng trabaho. Ano ang dapat niyang i-expect na sweldo na kanyang unang kikitain? What's the usual average entry point ng sweldo?
Well, sa ano kasi natin, sa basic labor standard, anybody who is actually working should receive the minimum wage. And that is in Metro Manila, it's 504 yata, gano'n. No? But for an entry-level position for a college graduate, mga 10,000 to 15,000 dapat yun.
So that's not minimum?
That's not minimum.
That's
mga
a call
8,000
center,
plus ang
the call center range, no? That's a call center range ang entry. And is that enough for a fresh graduate to be independent? I don't think so, hindi ba? I don't think so.
Depende kasi kung sa lifestyle din yan ng ng tao. Kung yung sinasabi kanina ni Jayjay, mukhang nasa high-end yung mga mga lifestyle ng mga fresh graduates, diba?
We're saying that ang ating minimum is 500. Okay?
I'm not very sure about the accurate rate, but
more or less.
More or less.
Okay. And yet the entry point for a fresh grad is 10,000, which is far, far below. Mas pinakamababa pa dun sa 500. So, ibig sabihin, hindi sinusunod ng DOLE yung ating...
ang is, no. It's if you are receiving 500 plus, it's more or less mga 8 to 9,000 a month. You have to multiply that times 22 days.
Ito, Miss Cris, alam ko walang kinalaman sa fresh grads to. Pero yung idea ng contractualization, may epekto ba yan sa sa perception ng mga kung mag-a-apply sila, mga fresh grads?
Yung issue ng contractualization, that is a very
mga kapatid, yung po yung mga tipong 3 months, 6 months lang.
That's a very emotional issue when it comes to the labor matters. But for our fresh graduates, I think the more important consideration is to get the first crack in the world of work. Whether you are into temporary position or not, the important thing is you are given an opportunity to have a work experience. Yun lang yung ano natin. I think for the first graduate, yun yung importante na dapat meron tayong ganong perspective.
I agree with kailangan mabasa yung paa nila, so to speak, no? But are we careful also na porque may sense of desperation yung iba, karamihan ng mga fresh graduates.
Or if not desperation, inexperience.
Inexperience, desperation, depende yun sa social classes nga na ano eh. And a lot of companies has a tendency to exploit, no? Yung katulad yan, okay, 3 months contract. Pero maski naman sa atin siguro, dapat tinitingnan din natin yung pananaw na, okay, ikaw, fresh graduate ka, idealistic ka, and then papakitaan natin, just because you're a fresh graduate, your contract is going to be just for 3 months, just because fresh graduate.
Ay, on top of that, may isa pang practice ngayon.
Alin
May mga kumpanya na from hospitals to, according to you, mga media outfits na naniningil para sa on-the-job training.
On-the-job training.
Ano pong pananaw dito ng DOLE?
If you are on an on-the-job training, wala dapat.
So those are illegal.
Walang ano yon, walang pera coming from the worker himself. In fact, kung ikaw ay considered as apprentice in the company or you are training for work, dapat binabayaran ka ng 75% of the minimum wage.
Lalo na Miss Cris, kunyari sa mga
minimum.
nurses, sa mga ospital. Kasi, di ba, ang justification ng mga ospital na to,
Wala nang
kami ang
slots.
nagpo-provide naman ng training dito sa mga estudyanteng to para sila ay makapag-abroad.
Parang tinuturuan mo na.
So, illegal po yun. Ano po yung mga,
I think it's important. I cannot categorically comment on the issue. Ang importante kasi, mapuntahan natin, kung merong mga ganong practices, puntahan natin yung organization or the company, and then ma-inspect siya ng Department of Labor. At makita talaga kung ano yung condition.
Pero ulitin natin mga kapatid, in theory, bawal po yun.
Bawal ang magbabayad. In fact, yung sa paghahanap na lang ng trabaho. For example, if you are being being assisted by a recruiter, hindi ka pwedeng singilin. Ang magbabayad yung employer sa paghahanap sa iyo.
Hindi eh. Kumisan ngayon sa on-the-job training talaga na required sa mga bata para makakuha ng diploma, ay talagang ginakasangkapan ng ilang kumpanya, nabibilang na doon ng ospital at ilangang media outfits na maningil at malaking singil. Malaki ang singil sa mga batang ito. Forced to good ngayon ng mga parents na magbayad nito. Otherwise, the kids will not get their... Sana matignan talaga ng DOLE yan. Dahil
At tayo naman po sa Department of Labor, kapag nakaka-receive tayo ng mga complaints, mabilis hong ina-actionan sa amin yan. Meron ho kaming 24 hours call center na pwede nilang tawagan. It's 908-2917 at pwede rin ho sa SMS. Ito ho ay 2917.
That's that's legal, no? And then they promised that they're going to look
into it.
No? Pero ang concern natin kayo ngayon, okay, ang sinasabi ko nga, fresh graduates, we are concerned na baka walang mapasukan. Part of the reason kung bakit ngayon naniningil yung halimbawa hospital, sinasabi nila, nagkaroon tayo ng sobrang dami ng mga schools ng nursing nung nag-boom yung mga nurses. So ngayon wala na silang slots para matrain. So they have to basically pay para matraining sila.
And what will happen?
Ibig sabihin ho yan, it's already the workings of the market. Ang ibig sabihin ho natin, because we have so much supply of nurses right now, which are inexperienced but registered, they cannot go out of the country because the requirement is 2 years work experience. Yun ho ang dilemma natin ngayon. That is the reason why, for example, for this year, the government is actually spending 1 billion pesos just so that nag-interview ho kami at nag-select kami ng mga newly registered but without experienced nurses. And 10,000 of them will be deployed nationwide, especially in what we call the CCT areas, yung mga rural areas na walang mga nurses. Ito ho yung isang stopgap measure na parang ginawa ng gobyerno para lang po matugunan yung crisis natin when it comes to the oversupply of nurses. Imagine the government spending 1 billion just so these people can have the necessary experience. So that if by choice they want to be employed abroad, they can have that.
Magandang point yan kasi nag-OJT na sila, nakakatulong pa sila doon sa mga taong kailangan ng tulong, sa mga baryo-baryo, di ba?
But you know how when we announced that the government is selecting 10,000 newly grad without experience nurses for deployment in the city areas, online registration, one day pa lang namin na-announce, nasa 17,000 na agad yung
Siyempre, kasi naman sila magbayad pa ng di ba?
At saka talagang na-flag na rin natin ang CHED doon sa condition nga ng ating mga nurses. That's the reason why they
Cris,
are
di ba may oversupply ng nurses na nga, hindi ba? May oversupply ng nurses dito sa Pilipinas. Tapos it seems like the demand for nurses abroad has so greatly, di ba? Mataas na ba o nag-diminish na?
Mataas pa din. But they are really looking for experienced nurses.
So that's why there's... Now, what about yung this oversupply? I feel like mga oversupply ng mga chefs. Di ba? Everybody is entering into HR. Yes!
Wala pa naman oversupply kaming nakikita ngayon. In fact, the latest labor market signaling activity that we did, chef is one of the in-demand occupations. Medyo mataas lang yung enrollment for now.
Well, yeah.
Yung enrollment.
One last remark.
Okay.
So, ang nakikita ko rito, yung ratio ng employment ng fresh graduates vis-a-vis dun sa chances sila magkaroon sila ng trabaho is depende dun sa career na napili nila at kung ano ngayon yung kalakaran.
That's correct.
Okay.
Ang ano dyan is, yung mga estudyante natin, dapat bago sila mamili ng career, tignan nila kung alin yung in-demand, yung tinatawag natin na in-demand and hard-to-fill occupation.
Ano yung in-demand ngayon talaga?
In the latest labor market signaling that we did, we were able to identify 108 different in-demand and hard-to-fill occupation.
Which is the top?
Yes. Siyempre, nandyan yung, yung mga accountants are actually all-time favorites. Yes. Ang vacancy natin doon sa aming government portal, yung parang katulad doon sa ating partner na JOBSDB, we are at this point, we're having more than 1,000 accounting occupations.
Ano pa aside from being,
Of course, yung ating mga frontline occupations, yung mga frontline officers, desk officers, yung mga sales agents. We have also, of course, the call center agents. Tapos doon naman sa mga trade skills, we have yung mga heavy machine operators, welders, pipe fitters. But of course, for the professionals, we always have the engineers, the geologists. Yan yung geologist, hard to fill talaga yan. Oo.
Ay, mga kapatid, narinig niyo yan. Narinig yung sinabi ni Ms. Cris. Maraming salamat po, ma'am.
Okay.
Sana po, nagkaroon po kayo ng medyo konting idea kung ano yung mga applyan ninyo.
Yes, it's really an all-time favorite.
All-time favorite, accounting. Ms. Crisel Dasin ng Department of Labor and Employment.
Babalik tayo.
Babalik pa kami, ha?
Thank you.
Accountant pa rin, ano? Accounting pa rin.
Nagulat ako na accounting.
Akala mo parang napaka-80s.
Kasi lahat ng
Tungkol sa job market ng 2011 for the graduating students. Narinig mo, may mga natakot na wala silang options, may mga confident din na may trabaho sila, lalong-lalo kung high demand ang course nila katulad ng IT or nursing. But all I have to say is that if you just put your heart to it and you put your mind to it and you have the entrepreneurial spirit, kung may kusang loob ka para sa trabaho, you will never be without work, you will never be without hanap buhay, you'll never go hungry. As long as you keep your entrepreneurial spirit and you always keep working hard. Because people should not expect that jobs be given to them on a silver platter. Na mag-graduate ka at instant may trabaho ka. Sometimes you'll realize, especially when you graduate, that job is probably not the job that you wanted to do. After all, ang mga graduates ngayon, ang batang-bata nila, a lot of them have not made up their minds yet. So I just think that if this generation of graduates now just stays confident and stays true to themselves, they'll eventually find what it is that they want to do in the world.